Inside this room, all of my dreams become realities, and some of my realities become dreams.
All my life I've awaited your coming and dreaded it.
I like them French fried potatoes.
Insanity runs in my family. Practically gallops.
I always have a wonderful time, wherever I am, whomever I'm with.
This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening.
It's the Al Travis Show. Very lucky to have her on. Good friend of the program. She is Speaker of the House, Lisa Demuth. Speaker, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, I know you're very busy. Got word from your staff. You've got to go back to a budget meeting. I will only have time for probably the one question, but it's the one I wanted to ask, and it's all about the budget. So quick, long-winded question. You give me the answer. I took the $71 billion 2 years ago that was used, and I took out $17 billion because it was that massive fund we had lying around that we decided to spend. That puts me at about $54 billion would have been the budget without that 17. Now we come out, the Senate says they're cutting $2 billion. It looks like you're going to cut, and I'll ask you, you can tell us how much you think you're going to cut. But when I get the budget and I see the numbers, it looks like it's going to be in the 62, $64 billion mark, and that sure seems like it's going up and not down when every paper I read says, you're all just cutting, it depends how much. Am I misreading something there?
No, and great question. Everybody's talking about the budget right now.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of where things are at. The House being in the tie, as you well know, are Ways and Means co-chairs. So Representative Paul Torkelson and Representative Stevenson, they were the ones that worked very hard on coming up with what an actual budget target would be. The important thing to recognize is in the tie in the House, we have an agreed upon budget target. That still then gets compared with what the Senate, and the Senate is in full Democrat control.
Yep.
That'll compare with what the Senate has. And then the governor has his own budget target too. The work that was done in the House.
Are you allowed to share that? Sorry for interrupting. Are you allowed to share that? And the governor's came out at $66 billion and he now wants to take $250 million out of it. I mean, you can do the math with his. Go ahead.
I will go ahead and just speak to the work that we're doing here in the House. That's my job as Speaker to focus on this. And then obviously then we meet the four leaders, so Democrat, Republican, House, and Senate, meet with the governor as things move through. And that has started, which is helpful because we need to do that work together. But the way that it works is in the House, our budget target is a $3.9 billion reduction compared to the 24-25 budget. So there is a reduction. We know we have that deficit coming up in just 3 to 4 years, and we're cutting that by about a third right now in what's proposed. Again, what is proposed then has to match up with the Senate and the governor. So even though the work is being done, these are the numbers that we work under right now, but it's not the absolute final.
No, I get that. So if I'm now understanding it, if 71 was the number in 24, then if you get your way $4 billion cut out, we're looking at a $68 billion. But what's the number that budget will be? If 71 was it 2 years ago, what is this number?
That is still all in negotiations right now.
But am I in the ballpark? Am I in the ballpark in the mid-60s? Yeah.
Yeah, mid to high 60s. Yes, absolutely. It will not be the same budget as what you saw last year. I can guarantee that because that was unsustainable. As much as we would have liked to have backed out that $18 billion surplus, that is not, there's not a good way to do that because of the programs that are there. It was one-time spending. It was spending that is ongoing too. And those are the things we are making reductions. We've said no tax increases. We definitely don't want to do that. We understand that we still need to provide the services. We need to do those priorities of what we have and what we know here in the state. So those are the things that we are working on as we're coming up with bills that can support some of this. Again, it is the Democrats that got us to where we are now. Our budget, if we were doing this just us, Al, if it was just a full Republican controlled House, yes, I am the Speaker for 2 years. Yes. Just want to reiterate that. But it is in negotiations because of the tie. Our budget, if it was just Republicans, would look much differently.
Okay. Can I ask, do we know, well, I suppose they're still filling it in. We never get to know it. How much did we take in the last 2 years? Is 66, 68 what was actually brought in? So that's not a crazy number that the government grew enough? Because okay, if 2 years is an anomaly, you have $17 billion, $18 billion. 4 years ago, we were at $52 billion. And now if you're looking 4 years later at 66, I'm trying to do the math. That's like 20% in 4 years. But maybe I'm asking you to sell it to people that way. People are all finding out this cut. You guys are going to cut me till you kill me. Not you, but get my point. We're up 20% in 4 years.
Right. Well, and the thing is, again, this is all work in process. Yeah. But what I will tell you is it's a Republican priority to make sure that we are right-sizing government. And what I mean by that, specifically Democrats with full Democrat control, they were able to do whatever they wanted to, and we recognize that. At least now with a tie in the House, we have a voice, but it is still, I am literally 1/2 of 1/3 of the process. So that's an important thing to recognize. But as a really good example, the Democrats created a new Department of Children, Youth, and Families. Sounds great. Those things that department will handle were already being taken care of between the Department of Education and the Department of Human Services. So my question to the new commissioner was, how many employees do you have? She said about 885 employees. Said, great. Where'd you get them? Where are they coming from? And she said, well, these 2 different departments and the OIG and the whole thing. I'm like, that's wonderful. We already know then. If we moved 885 employees from different departments, we should not be backfilling those at all in those other departments. So when I talk about right sizing, that is a common sense way that people can think about that we should not be overstaffing, over FTEing our state government on the backs of taxpayers. One other thing before I have to go, Al, that I think is really important. We have talked about fraud, and we do have the Fraud Prevention and Agency Oversight Committee in complete Republican control for the entire 2 years, with a Republican chair and a Republican majority, a 5-3 majority there. That is work that is going to be ongoing, not just this year, not just during the interim, but into next year too. We know we already have over $610 million of known fraud, and we, as Republicans in the House, have said we are stopping that. It will not be allowed to continue forward like we've seen under Democrat control. So that's a big win for where we're at.
I throw this out. 2 things. Thank you very much for doing this for me. I know you're very pushing. You're in the middle of all this, and I thank you for explaining it to me. Do this for me, and I don't know if you're going to be able to. You and the rest of the Republicans have to stand firm. 1/2 of 1/3 of the government. I do the math. It's about 1/6. That's all you've got. That's all Republicans in the state of Minnesota, which are roughly half of this state, if you do the math, are begging for you to do. And we're begging for you to do that. Stand firm, if you will.
Absolutely. Right? And this is how your listeners can be involved. Contact your legislator and let your legislator know how you feel on things. Contact the governor's office. Make sure you're contacting both House members and Senate members, because that's the way we make our decisions. So it's not that Minnesotans, especially Republicans, it's not that we just sit back and do nothing. Get involved in government. Express yourself in a respectful, clear way on the different topics. But great to see you, Al.
Speaker, thank you very much for doing this. I absolutely appreciate you, and your people are going to be mad because I'm 3 minutes over. Speaker Lisa Demuth, thank you for being here. It's the Al Travis Show. Back after this.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most